So, welcome to the pit of this tutorial. I'll be doing a full ramp start for those interested. Otherwise, I will provide a link that you can just skip right ahead to the ingress point, or the ingress point in the mission, to watch the weapons delivery. So for those willing to watch the ramp start, please bear in mind this is my first video, so I'm just following a whole bunch of guides that I've found and how I've learned to do it. I probably will make a few mistakes, but such is the nature of learning, I guess. So without further ado, here we go. All flight control systems, switches it down. As the IFF is not implemented in BMS, I can clear this error. Radar warning receiver is switched off. So that is probably just a reflection of maintenance errors, and those need to be cleared. Master caution off. Warning panel clear. Flaps and stabs, systems check. Starboard side, all good. Commence bit. went from 210 at 20 knots. Okay, that's quite heavy. Yeah, well, I think we'll definitely have to trim the rudder on takeoff. But yeah, makes for an interesting one. We'll see how it goes with the landing though. That could be fun. Procedure on INS alignment. Almost there. Considering we're flying a block 52, when the INS align reaches 4.0, we can switch to navigation. So on a side note, I've read and watched a couple of tutorials, and the initialization of the radar warning receiver is extremely important for it to function correctly. Be sure that you select the systems test just to run the built-in test feature, after which just check the missile launch. That just serves as confirmation that the threat warning volume level is set correctly. And then the important step is to select this handoff into the diamond mode. That basically just allows the radar warning receiver to highlight the most critical threat to the aircraft and allow you to prioritize your defense as such. INS is ready for alignment. Set MFDs as desired. Considering this is just a 2 flight, 1 single package, it's not really necessary for the intra-flight, I beg your pardon, the intra-flight data link to be active, but just so that we can see exactly what our AI wingman is doing, we will set the data link up I'm speaking under correction, com switch left. Be sure to set this to continuous transmission, otherwise if it is just on demand, then every time you com switch left, it'll stay active for about 2 seconds and then deactivate again. So assign is for assigning targets, so we want that on continuous. Using the continuous feature, we can also assign targets using the OSB buttons 6 through 10. Okay, flight controls built-in test has successfully completed. So next we will do EPU check. Tow brakes are on, parking brake on, should deactivate probably. EPU is simulated active. EPU on and fail. And check electrical systems fault. So EPU is functioning as normal. Next is the engine sec test. So nozzle position is close to 100% open. Initialize sec. Nozzle is closed. Throttle up and down, no change, good. All normal. Now what I'm doing over here is just ICB button 5 for cruise mode, and you just press M select or 0 to highlight time on station. What that'll do is give you a caret on your airspeed indicator, just to tell you the speed required for you to reach your destination at the prescribed planned time on station. Also, it allows us to just confirm takeoff time 9:21. All that's left, basically just check the weapon system and the fuel. We are carrying a set of wing drop tanks. What we may want to do is just select a system jettison for the drop tanks in case we are engaged, or they run dry and we are in active combat, in which case we will want to drop them. Be sure to deselect the selective jettison in order to, or for when you pickle, that you don't accidentally pickle your drop tanks. So, setting up the bombs. The attack heading is 019 degrees, so we will set that under the GBU 31B profile as the azimuth. So OSB 5 on the right MFD under profile 1. It allows us to set the impact azimuth 019 degrees. Also, the impact velocity, we want nice penetration on these bombs, so you might want to increase the impact velocity slightly. I'm not sure if this is simulated in BMS or not, but for me that is just a realistic, or what I would perceive as a realistic setting to be made. For the arming distance for the bombs, considering it's a low altitude toss, arming distance of around 4 seconds, allowing for flight time, should be adequate, and we'll leave this as profile 1. The impact angle, that's the dive angle on the bomb, at 55 degrees, and that should be sufficient. Prescribed threat, and that is as correct. We won't power on the bombs or the INS alignment for them up until we are in flight. Next we'll configure our air-to-air mode, just to set that up as desired in case we are engaged in air-to-air combat. This won't happen in this training exercise though, due to there not being any enemy aircraft in the AO. But this is always just a good check. And back to nav. If we were bombing with LGBs, what we would want to do is ICP list page, miscellaneous or M select at 0 ICP button, and then laser, ICP 5. And then what you would want to do is scroll down and M select for the A to G, because at the moment it is in the training mode, TRNG. If you press the M select, that will cycle to combat. Now that will enable your laser to be active. I often forget this procedure in startup, which leads to the bombs basically just falling as dumb bombs and me missing my target. But I will just leave that as training, considering we are not using the laser or the sniper pod. we can commence taxi. All systems checks are complete. What we may want to do is just steering select for the autopilot in case we want to perform more systems checks in flight, like setting up landing procedures as far as TACAN channels is concerned. Now I like to do the full TACAN approach. The Seoul airbase, if you enter your your BMS drive and you search for the aircraft, or the, I beg your pardon, the navigational pages, and they will give you the approach procedures for each airport. So I like to follow these as a base for realism, and also it's good practice, for flying with heads down approach for, say, for example, HUD failure. So we can commence taxi. Anti-collision lights on, anti-flash for the exterior lights, and the landing lights / taxi lights on. Ejection seat armed. Not entirely sure for the taxi procedure on this runway. But considering we've been cleared, we can just proceed to the runway. Wind is bearing 210. Just to confirm.
Cowboy 1-1, wind check. Cowboy 1-1, Seoul approach 210, 24 knots.
Buddy check. Let's roll. Okay, I'm trimming with full right trim on the rudder just to compensate for the wind drift. It's taking off a little bit of trim as we gain speed. V1, rotate. Gear up.
Cowboy 1-1, Seoul Tower, resume on navigation. Cowboy 1-1,
we'll engage autopilot at this stage. At attitude hold, just to continue with our climb. There's quite a bit of turbulence. It's one of the most amazing features for me in the BMS 3.3 update is the wing flex, which is just incredible. Unfortunately, you don't really get to look at that much often. Yeah, heavy maneuvering, I guess, under fire. Tend to concentrate on the HUD at that stage. Yeah, it would be a bit of an upgrade if I had to get myself track IR or an equivalent, but I just bought myself a HOTAS instead. So that's a little bit out of my budget at this stage. Yeah, considering I always used to fly BMS with a Logitech Extreme 3D Pro, the new key file in the 3.3 update was a little bit daunting for me to have to set up all my controls from scratch. So yeah, I pretty much left it at that, up until I could afford a HOTAS. Yeah, it's been a great upgrade. And I must say, since I've set it up now and gotten used to the controls, it's amazing. Okay, I've just pressed the pinky switch. Oh, I beg your pardon, the pedal switch. Just that I can initialize its turn a little bit faster. And I'm going to change this HUD color. Not strictly speaking realistic, but yeah, the contrasting is just horrible. We will level out at pressure altitude 23,000, flight level 230. Your wingman's popping flares. What I'll do now is just set up the TACAN channel for the home plate. TACAN channel is 46 X-ray. Let me just double check. No, I'll confirm the runway on ingress to the landing zone. The TACAN radial intercept, however, is 180. Always a good reminder to have the Darth Vader breathing on, just to serve as a reminder that we are in a combat environment, and it's for good effect. Okay, radar silence.
Cowboy 1-2, snooze radar.
2, roger.
Navigational lights are off. We are entering a combat environment. Check flare dispensers. Don't want to leave those off. I prefer it on semi-auto mode, just so that if the radar warning receiver receives radar lock and missile launch queue, that it dispenses the program immediately. Considering I'm basically using the pinky switch and TMS up to dispense my countermeasures program, so it's a little bit too many key switches. But the slap switch and the EWS program 6 are quick enough to use. Slap switch is for rapid flare dispense, and the EWS program 6 is for basically a radar threat. Okay, so at this stage I will commence descent to low level ingress. And put it in the weeds. For just that reason, I guess. Right on cue. Air brake is on. So we don't want to overstress the aircraft. Air brake's off. Oh, that wing flex. The stage must arm on. Bitchin' Betty at her finest. See if we can achieve a bit of terrain masking. ACMI recording is on. Woohoo! Switching to ground mode. Initialize bombs. Actually should have done that earlier. We might have to loop around. This looks like actually a safe spot to loop around. On a bit of a dip, so yeah, let's do that. Just need to watch our altitude so we don't go too high and get targeted. See if we can keep it around 200 feet. Yep, this is what I meant about mistakes. good practice for oh, hello.
Altitude, 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 altitude. Altitude, altitude,
Good practice for fingertip flying, I guess.
altitude. Two, engage defensive.
Where are we with the bombs?
Altitude, altitude.
Jammer off. A little bit easy for them to target us. What we could do is switch to low altitude mode.
Two, engage defensive. Altitude, altitude. Altitude, altitude. Altitude, altitude.
This is not something I recommend doing in a combat zone.
Altitude, altitude. Chaff, flare. Chaff, flare. Altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Altitude, 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 altitude,
Come on, bombs.
altitude.
Yeah, we should be good.
Altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude. Altitude, altitude.
Okay, we've reached the progression to the steer point IP.
Counter.
This zone is hot.
Altitude, 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 altitude.
Now, if we were flying at high altitude, the SAM threat would have been 10 times worse.
Altitude, altitude. Jammer. Pull up, pull up. Two, engage defensive. Altitude, 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 altitude. Altitude, 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 altitude. Jammer, altitude, altitude. Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up.
Okay, at this point I will just pause
Pull up.
and talk you through what's going to happen next. So at this stage I will switch the steer point to the target, which is around there somewhere, and to initialize the VIP approach or the VIP hunt queues. Basically what you do is you just TMS right once. If you just pay attention to the HSD as I'm flying the approach, you will see the cursor will change positions. Now those are the locations or the nav queues which will bring you to the pull-up point. Yeah, I think that's all for now. Just again confirm the target steer point 13 and steer point 14. Those are going to be our targets, and we will pickle bombs to those steer points when we reach the required range. Rapid pickle and egress out. So let's see if we can get it right. target TMS right once. It takes to the first turn point, or VRP1, which is on top of the mountain. Not exactly ideal. We'll probably get a SAM launched at us there. Nevertheless, that was just the slap switch. VRP2. And target. At this point we could probably radar on. So I will switch to steer point 13 right now. Something's gone wrong. Okay. What we need to do is we first need to reset the cursor. That gives us better, and basically takes it straight back onto the steer point. What the TMS right does through, with switching through the VIP queues, is it slews the cursor basically onto those locations just for easier navigation. So if you look at the HUD, we are already receiving our first release queue. Yeah, so obviously once that starts flashing, then we'll proceed to pull up and bomb pickle. I think we horribly missed the pull-up point, if you ask me. And at this stage, just egress out and land. It's just a basic ACMI view of the attack, showing all release points, even though they were late. As noted in the video itself. I missed the first release queue and mistook the second release queue for the first. So, yeah, pay attention. Learn from my mistakes. And pickle, both bombs tracking and impacting the south and center bits of the runway. Thanks for watching. That's all from me, unless you would like to go and watch the heads down approach, also obviously with a few mistakes. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll provide a link to that video in the description.